This is my Mark 5 Supra, and as much of a BMW it may be, there's one thing the interior lacks: ambient lighting. There's no ambient lighting in the Supra at all, so we're gonna take care of that with this kit. The kit we're using for our ambient lights are $100 strip lights from Amazon, and to light up our floors, we're using the Govee LED strip lights. All right, guys, we're at Checkmate headquarters with stars upon the roof. Guys, meet Dan.
Yo, what's up, guys? Stars blazing, eyes gazing.
Dan is a highly skilled and experienced car interior specialist, and today he's going to be installing the ambient lighting kit into the Supra.
This ambient light kit consists of 5 boxes. That's what you get with the kit. It has 6 different strands, actually. 2 for the dash, 4 for the doors.
Okay.
But since it is a Toyota Supra, we will be using more for the doors and less for the back doors since there's no back doors.
The tools we're going to need for this kit are going to be a 10mm open end wrench, a T20 Torx bit, a pick, and a plastic trim removal tool. We're also going to need a fuse jumper to be able to safely jump the cigarette lighter fuse without having to hardwire anything for a more plug and play style system. So let there be light. I've seen other cars that have kits put on, and you can see like where they like push them into the gaps. This one's going to be official. We're actually going to take pieces off of the car and install it in the creases.
There's a little tiny groove on the light that makes it sit in place.
So we're gonna start with the door. We're gonna take this off first. So we first started to remove the door panels, which are held by 3 screws and 2 bottom clips. We used a pick to remove the plastic pieces that cover the screws holding the door panel. We then removed the screw behind the door handle and then the 2 inside the armrest tray. But for the bottom of the door, it was a bit more tricky.
The clip itself has to go in a certain direction for it to be able to come out because it has a certain shape. It has to be in a 45-degree angle.
After just a few minutes of wrenching to get the right angle, we were back on track to popping off the door panels, which was pretty painful to watch. We then removed the 4 clips still holding the door panel, which are the speaker wire, door handle cable, window controls, and the trunk button.
This just came apart. It shouldn't come apart.
Which we probably won't have anymore. Just kidding.
This is the clip that we were talking about with the 10mm. Twist it with the 10mm and it locks into here. So you just gotta make sure it's literally at a 45-degree angle.
Okay, BMW.
So you see, those are for this piece to come out.
So basically what we're gonna be doing is we're gonna be finding a little crease in the panel to make sure we can fit the lighting in the gap.
In general,
This is where we're gonna be putting the strip lighting right here. We then realized how not so easy this part would be. With little to no room to fit the strip in the gap, it was almost impossible. Until we found a way in. There we go. I got a little nervous there, bro.
we got it.
We got it.
Hell yeah.
Getting the strip light through the panel wasn't the only battle, but setting it in place definitely was the biggest challenge. And after only about 15 minutes of prying and picking, we were starting to make progress. It's in.
I try to do it on the angles. If you cut it not on the angle, it can make the end of the fiber change color. So let's say the whole thing's red, this will be green because that's how LEDs work. They bug out if the connection gets shorted.
All right, guys, so we are going to take out the other panel. We want to see if the lights actually power on. You don't want to put the stuff back together and then have to test it out. We repeated the process for the driver's side to remove the passenger panel, and I must say it was just as painful to watch. But it just didn't take as long this time. All right, guys, so when you take the door panel off, this is one thing you have to be careful for.
Try to not pry so hard because there's a huge clip here. Look in between the door panel and the actual door to see how much of more prying you need to do.
Okay.
Then pry, pop it off, pull up, let this thing, do its own thing. Don't bend it or anything because it can force this to always stay locked or always stay unlocked, and that's very annoying to fix. You would actually have to replace this whole bar, or you would have to bend it to the right degree so it could go back and up and down again.
The only thing that's actually Toyota on this car is the door panel itself.
Like all the plastics.
All the plastics.
Everything that's manufactured,
Yeah, it literally says Toyota right there.
But any wiring, any speakers, any electrical, any engine is all BMW.
A Mercedes, be careful there.
Almost.
To set up the dashboard lights, we popped the side panel off and removed the screw holding it, allowing us to pop the front panel. We didn't need much space, so we didn't have to completely remove it.
That's all you need. You don't need much space.
Then remove the panel under the dash, which is held by 2 clips you can twist by hand. Next, we popped the side panel next to the seat and the panel next to the fuse box, just so we had more space to work. To power the light kit, we used a fuse jumper and connected the red power wire to the fuse jumper for power. The cigarette lighter is obviously going to get power when you power the car on, so it's probably the most ideal spot. Just make sure that your original fuse isn't in line with the power wire and use that spot for a 5 amp fuse. We're going to use the first slot on the main controller box to power these lights, and you have 4 total, which is enough for how many lights we're putting in the Supra today.
There we go, and now we got power.
Oh boy. This kit has 16 million colors and 213 color modes, so the options are almost endless for customization.
Like,
Oh, that's fire too.
Yeah, it don't get old.
For the ground, which is the black wire, we're going to use the bolt behind the panel to secure it. This bolt needs a 14mm socket to loosen. Just make sure your ground wire has a solid connection.
There's a bunch of bolts around, but bigger the bolt, the stronger the ground is.
We had to make sure to wire everything from underneath and not from the side to avoid crimping any wires with the panel covers.
All right, so now we're gonna be doing the center console portion. This just literally pops right off, right?
Yep, just like that.
Pull it out, and there you go.
There are 8 screws, then you're able to pop this whole piece out.
And with only 8 screws to remove from the center console,
They're all out.
You just put on the floor, whatever it's closest to, just try to leave it next to that side. With one finger, with just bang.
It just pops up.
Pops right off. Yeah, a cup holder. Not a lot of Supra owners know that you can take this off and wash it.
Really?
Yeah, because it's the cup holder. It gets the most dirtiest, so you can take it off. That's why these 2 little things are there.
Oh,
BMWs do not have this that you can take it out. So I'm surprised that this car has it, that you can take it out. Yeah, it has it there because of the screws probably.
well, it was good to know that my Supra wasn't as much of a BMW as I thought. But just make sure to be careful removing the Toyota cup holder, since it does come with surprises.
That was easy.
We then remove the panel under the dash on the driver's side, which is the same process as the passenger side. Just be careful with the speaker wire since it's still attached.
There it is. That's how you wire it from that side to that side. There's a little white tube. If you put it right next to it, there's a hole. It'll go straight through from that side to this side. You don't have to go through and take apart this whole thing and take it out of the car.
Okay.
Saves you all that trouble.
If you guys are purchasing this kit yourself, Dan's recommending that you get 2 of these. Why? Because you need 2 extensions. If you're gonna tap into the fuse box, you need to be able to reach from the fuse box over to the other side of the car, and they only come with 1 extension per kit. You can probably try to find it on Amazon, but chances are it's probably gonna be a 3-pin, not a 4-pin like this kit is.
And even like the pins, even if there's 4 pins, sometimes it's the same amount of pins.
Right.
The actual size of the plastic is different size.
For me, I'm gonna keep it simple. I kind of want to have more of an ambient, kind of stockish kind of look. I don't want it to look a little bit too overdone and kind of ricey. It's bad enough we're putting LED lights in the car. Now that the center console panel is off, we snake the LED light through the other side to be able to connect it to the driver's side vent. Using the pry tool, the panel came off pretty easily, exposing an access hole for the LED light to go through. Then it was just a matter of lining up the strip and cutting it to the right length, until we realized that the panel wasn't going to press against the strip enough to hold it. The great thing about the ambient lighting kit is that it comes with double-sided tape that we were able to use after heating up a bit. The heat was just for extra stickiness to apply the strip light with ease and have a more secure hold. And just for extra security, I would still press against the panel for a good 10 to 15 seconds just to make sure you get a good hold.
Yeah.
Looks
Okay,
good.
good.
So now we're gonna add the footlights in. We repeat the same process for the wiring, except we are snipping off the cigarette lighter plug and using the positive and negative to tap in the same areas of the ambient lights. Once we got power to the lights, we snaked 2 of the LED strips to the driver's side and let them sit until we finish the center console. For the center console strip light, we had to make sure the screw holes lined up with the panel, and we also had to make sure not to crimp any wires. We used a hole from underneath to make sure that there was not any pressure being applied to the LED wire. To install the center console strip light, we had to put a few screws back in on the bottom just to hold it in place for us to be able to set the strip light in the gap.
Try to only pop like the top clips. The bottom, see, it's still in.
Okay.
And then now you can play with it more.
That is sick. It literally looks like it's part of the car, like it came like this stock. Literally. I was thinking that you can put like LED strips around here too.
I'm gonna go crazy trying to crease that in between there. That would be sick though, right?
Yeah, no, but I'm serious.
Don't be afraid. Won't break. Bam. And
That's it.
It looks so dope. For the footlights, we used the heat gun again to make sure we get a good solid hold. And in just a few minutes, we were looking good. We just had to make sure we placed the lights on the removable panel piece.
So now we're gonna be using the third port on the module.
We finally get to the best part of the install, the dashboard lights. This was without a doubt the easiest part of the install as it requires no sticky tape. Just lay it across the dashboard and snip the end carefully. And just like that, we have ourselves an OEM looking ambient light setup.
Stock. It literally looks stock. Not even OEM. Whenever you guys are putting these in, just make sure you're not bending too much because then it kind of takes away from the OEM kind of look.
The last step was to mount the button on the inside of the car, preferably next to the cell phone charging tray. And after that, we finished up the passenger side footlights and buttoned everything up so we can finish the doors.
We got all the ambient lighting in. It looks fantastic. It looks so dope.
This is for the controls for up and down for the windows.
So we're just gonna splice into that.
We had a bit of trouble finding a good ground for the negative wire to the sub-control boxes. but we were able to figure out that not all of the bolts on the door were good enough grounds. Once we found a good solid ground and a power source, we took a trip down memory lane.
Red and green, red and green, red and green.
Red and green?
Red and green. So positive is green and red. So it has a little thin green and the rest of the wire is red. And then negative, you can use these bolts down here. You can use any of these bolts that are 8 or 10 millimeters. Just not the Torx. Torx hold down this whole thing.
After putting the doors back together on both sides, we realized that the only good ground was the one furthest away from the car on the lower end. We realized this after we had some trouble on the passenger side, thinking the other bolts were good grounds.
Little hole right here for the box. You can make it just sit there.
We are finally on our way to completion and transforming the Supra into an ambient light spaceship. Oh, and before I forget, notice how I've been saying we this whole video? Well, I did help put the door panel back on, so I technically can say we. After all the panels were back on with close to 6 hours of work, I was really excited to see how the lights look all together. And I must say, it was definitely worth the wait. All right guys, so it's currently 12:38. It's been a long day. I've been here since 10:30. Super happy with how the interior came out. You have to get 2 apps, Magic Lantern and the Govee app. The Govee app is gonna be for the floor lighting and the Magic Lantern is gonna be for the interior lighting. It's pretty simple. The only thing I don't like actually is that anybody can connect to your car, which is kind of whack, but I'm pretty sure you can add some security features in there so you can make it specific for you. So far, so good. I think everything came out fantastic. We got the light trails in there, as you guys can see. I actually like that. But yeah, I could do more carbon. Don't want to do more carbon right now though. With that being said, guys, make sure you guys follow Stars Up on the Roof if you guys want to get any type of interior work done to your car, and if you guys are on Long Island specifically, and even if you're not in Long Island, if you're in the tri-state area and you want to get this done. He also does starlights as well, which I'm probably going to get. Not right now, but I'm probably gonna wait a little bit because a lot of people have it. If you guys have subscribed to the channel, make sure you guys check out the next video. We have my guy Willis. He was fortunate enough to bring his Supra to be able to help me do a video because I wanted to do a comparison between the Street Hunter wing that I have on my car and the replica. Make sure you guys check out that video. Make sure you guys like, share, comment, and subscribe, and I will catch you guys in the next one.